Let's see. What might they be saying today? Well, he only made those plays off schedule because the Lions were so concerned about the Niners' skill position guys that they lost track of Brock Purdy. Or the Lions just choked. Or he got lucky because the ball bounced off a guy's helmet into Brandon Ayuk's hands. What else could there be? What am I missing? What other dismissive commentary?
You gotta say something about the. You gotta say something about the officials. You gotta, there's gotta be some excuse. Some excuse.
Some reason why Brock Purdy keeps living this charmed life that he has nothing to do with. This game manager system quarterback finds his way in the Super Bowl. Just tell me what it is, because it can't be him.
You know what's funny,
We've established that it can't be him. It's everybody else but him.
Can I tell you? First of all, you look like you're 19 years old with that haircut. I love it. Taking it down. I haven't seen it that low in a while. It's probably a sore subject.
As a matter of fact, no, it's not a sore subject.
Because the barber wasn't supposed to take it that low.
No. Country would never do that. Country would never do that. No, I'll tell you exactly what it is. My wife, you know the difference between asking and telling, right? So this wasn't a polite request. Because, some things been going on in my household lately, so I had missed quite a few barbershop appointments the last several weeks. So it was a little out of control. And my wife was like, cut your hair. And she said it just like that. She's like, get cut. She said it just like that. And it wasn't, after 20-something years, whatever it's been, 18 of marriage, I know that number. But she was like, I knew that this was not I could just go and just get it neatened up or lined up, get a lining or whatever, get it tapered, get it faded.
You knew what that meant.
No, I need to cut it. And she pointed to a picture from our wedding. She's like, I want it like that. I want the guy back that I married, not this shit. She pointed out a picture that we took 2 years ago. We had a family photo shoot where she was leaning on the top of my head and it was mashing my hair down. And she was like, get rid of that shit. You've had it for the last several years. I'm sick of it. Cut your hair. And I was like, okay. And I just went to the barbershop. I was like, take it all off. Take it all off. I was like, this was not one.
Country was like,
about to trifle with this woman.
Country was like, you sure? But, hey, it ain't even a discussion.
It's not up to me. It's not up to me. Happy wife, happy life. It's not up to me. The boss lady said cut my hair, so I cut my hair. So here we are.
Listen, we've all been there. If you haven't been there, just keep living. You'll get there eventually. I will say this. You're right about Brock Purdy, and there are no excuses. But, hearing you start off like that, and you're absolutely right, people will come up with excuses all the time. We have, Michael, you and I are on the same page.
No, we are. That wasn't directed at you. That wasn't directed at you.
No, but it should be. But we're on the same page. My issues with the 49ers are exactly what you just said. The excuses. So I also like it when there are no excuses to be made. I don't like when they make excuses about, Brock Purdy's not available. We would have won without Brock Purdy.
Right.
So there are no excuses from yesterday. But during the game, when they were down 24-7, and I saw Kyle Shanahan cussing into his headset, and I think I read his lips saying something about defense, I'm like, oh, here we go. Last year's excuse was Brock Purdy. This year, step right up, Steve Wilks. We got some nice parting gifts for you. This is about to be your loss. This is about to be yours.
When the Lions were gashing the defense, for sure. They definitely did.
And he said defense. No. I don't know what he said.
Yeah.
I don't think he was saying great defense or, hey, let's go defense. I think he was saying bleep, 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 bleep defense. So, look, Brock Purdy, you've got to give that man his credit after what he did yesterday. He was a nuisance. And I say that with respect. He was a nuisance to the Detroit Lions. They had him, how about the one where they have him wrapped up and think like he's about to take a sack? He wriggles out of the sack and picks up positive yards. Or they got everything covered and he takes off and uses his legs multiple times to pick up critical first downs when they needed to get back in the game, everything they could get. Brock Purdy played great yesterday. Brock Purdy was was a big part of why the San Francisco 49ers are going to the Super Bowl. He was not a passenger. He took on the cross country trip from San Francisco to Connecticut. On a cross country trip, he drove through the Midwest. Okay, he wasn't just sitting there sleeping. He did some driving
overnight
in the middle of the night. Overnight, that's right. Overnight, you need those overnight drivers. He was a glue guy yesterday.
And didn't always do the speed limit. You know, no, this is refreshing to hear. Refreshing to hear that I don't have to do the heavy lifting when it comes to the Brock Purdy narrative. But your only issue with Brock Purdy it was never the player. It was what you perceived to be hyperbole. On my part, I feel like I was the one that started it. The Brady comparisons last year, when he took over last year, the Brady comparisons rubbed you the wrong way. Invoking the name of Tom Brady, I recall rubbing you the wrong way. And again, nobody ever said he was Tom Brady. He just had a similar effect, a similar galvanizing effect on this offense. But this is a win not just for the 49ers. This is a win not just for Brock Purdy. This is a win not just for Brock Purdy sycophants such as myself. This is a win for system quarterbacks everywhere. Because the number one job of the quarterback is to manage the game. And whether you realize it or not, people, I've said this before, but I'm going to say it again for the cheap seats, or the people who may not have heard me say this before, they're all system quarterbacks. Let me say that again. They're all system quarterbacks. Some of them make the system go. Some of them benefit from the system. And a lot of people around the league don't fear Brock Purdy as much as they fear the 49ers system. Guess what? It doesn't matter. They're in the Super Bowl. And they wouldn't be in the Super Bowl without Brock Purdy, to Michael's point. I believe they're favored. They wouldn't be favored over Patrick freaking Mahomes and Andy Reid, who are going for the fourth time in 5 years. They wouldn't be favored over them if not for Brock Purdy, because Brock Purdy has dynamic ability, and we saw it yesterday. Like, you can't be a robot that Kyle Shanahan is pressing the right buttons for and playoff schedule the way he does at the same time. That's not how that works. And I get he's throwing to Christian McCaffrey, he's got Deebo Samuel and George Kittle and Brandon Ayuk and so on and so forth. But like Brock Purdy, once and for all, dead to Brock Purdy slander. Because I told you a long time ago, it stopped being about football with Brock Purdy. I still don't know what it really is about, because nobody's told me clearly and definitively what the Brock Purdy slander has been about. But I did a conversation. I had a conversation recently, Michael, with our man Wood Harris, the actor Wood Harris, one of our favorite actors, one of the most. Well, he ain't even underrated to the people who know. Maybe mainstream don't appreciate Wood Harris the way they should, but those that know when it comes to Wood Harris. And Wood Harris, we talked about just being undeniable, just as an actor being undeniable. Yeah. And I think that goes for any walk of life, but in this context, as a quarterback, Brock Purdy at this point is undeniable. It's undeniable the difference that he makes, the plays that he makes, on or off schedule. And whether it's Montana, whether it's Young in San Francisco, whether it's anybody who's played with Andy Reid, including Patrick Mahomes, already one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. But I would include Patrick Mahomes in that, including Tom Brady. Because, see, I think people confuse, and don't lose your thought, but I do want to get this out. I think people confuse system with scheme. And those aren't necessarily the same things. Okay. I think some people think like, okay, this quarterback is only good because when I say they're all system quarterbacks, they're only good because they're reading half the field, or the play design is so ingenious that a nutless monkey could do their job. Shout out Tom Cruise and Tropic Thunder. You know what I'm saying? They feel like, oh, okay, like anybody could do this because of this genius play caller in Bill Walsh or whatever. But when I think of system quarterbacks, I think of infrastructure. I think of the head coach. I think of ownership. I think of personnel. I think of the defense. I think of the team. This is why this is why wins and losses are not a quarterback stat. With few exceptions. When somebody wins as much as Brady or as much as Mahomes, you can't divorce them from that. So we make some exceptions when convenient. We talked about this before. When it's so out of whack with something like, or even Lamar with Baltimore, mostly in the regular season. We'll get them in a second. But you can't divorce them from that stat. But nonetheless, when you are on a great team like the 49ers have, when you're on a great team and a part of a great organization like the Chiefs have, it is not a pejorative to call a quarterback a system quarterback. Like when Andy Reid has won with Donovan McNabb and Alex Smith and now Patrick Mahomes, there's something to be said for said system. All the quarterbacks that won Super Bowls, all three of them that won Super Bowls under Joe Gibbs, they were system quarterbacks, but they were still Super Bowl winning quarterbacks. You know, all the quarterbacks that have thrived under variations of the West Coast offense with the right head coach. Tom Brady, yeah, he won in Tampa. He absolutely won in Tampa. But does he win 6 with anybody other than Belichick? We've had that conversation ad nauseum. So if you want to call Brock Purdy a system quarterback, be my guest. But you're calling him a Super Bowl quarterback, an NFC Championship winning quarterback, and it's very early, but I'm not going to jump off this bandwagon yet. You're going to call him a Super Bowl winning quarterback in a couple of weeks.
Ooh,
you're going to call him a Super Bowl winning quarterback in a couple of weeks. System or not?
No, wait, slow down, player.
What is my last show for a while? As you know, this is my last show for a little while. So I got to get my prediction in now.
But take your time. You may want to change that. You may want to change it. Take your time. Take your time. You don't.
That's not smart, is it? That's not very smart, is it?
You don't have to do it. You don't have to do it yet. We're not on the record yet. You don't have to declare. It's early in the game. But I think I know what it is.
Nobody's going in motion to make me declare my coverage right now.
Yeah. You don't have to. You're like, oh, I know what it is. Nope. I'll tell you what it is with Brock Purdy. You know the problem is with Brock Purdy for a lot of people is they feel like he has just stumbled into the kingdom. He's just stumbled into this dumb luck, and somehow he doesn't deserve it. Now, I don't know if they feel like that after yesterday, after watching it. I don't know if they feel like that after the last 2 weeks, because he did make plays when he needed to make plays at critical times. Even though overall he was not good against the Packers, he played really well when he needed to against the Packers. I thought they were going to lose that game. He pulled that one out. They were down in the fourth quarter. He pulled them back and on to victory. Like, yesterday, obviously down 17 points at halftime. He made a lot of big plays and big throws that got them into the game. But I think the Brock Purdy position, like people kind of looked at the position like, oh, you can put anybody in there. You can put anybody in there. And you talk about the cheap seats. Can we say something else to the cheap seats? You can't put anybody in any place of value and expect just to get great results from anybody. It doesn't work like that. Even if it looks easy, people who make it look easy, it's not as easy as it looks. You can't just throw anybody in there. If that were the case, why didn't Trey Lance work out? Why did they move on from Jimmy Garoppolo? You can't just throw anybody in there. You're fortunate, both things can be true. You can be fortunate to be in a great situation, but also be worthy of holding that position. It's like, I remember years ago, you remember the writer, shout out Sports Illustrated, rest in power, Sports Illustrated, what it used to be. But remember Gary Smith? Gary Smith from Sports Illustrated.
Of course.
So,
one of the GOATs.
I remember talking to a sports writer friend of mine years ago, because Gary Smith just wrote these deep profiles that nobody else could really access that level of profile. And a devastating reporter, a devastating writer.
Pat Summitt going into labor on a recruiting trip type thing.
Yeah, I mean, he combined great reporting, great writing, and just put it together like nobody else. I remember a sports writer friend of mine saying years ago, well, if I had all the time that Gary Smith does to work on those stories, I'd do that. So, no, you can't. No, you can't. Stop it. No, you can't do that. I'll give you more time than Gary Smith to do it. I'll give you more time. I'll give you Gary Smith's notes. But you can't. So it's disrespectful just because we think the team is loaded, and the team is. San Francisco is loaded. You throw somebody into Brock Purdy position. Brock Purdy, he's just like some replacement level quarterback, and he's doing what anybody else in that position can do. And I may have got him caught up in that because of my antipathy toward the San Francisco 49ers. It was unfair.
Sure.
He's a good quarterback.
No, he is. What you cannot say after yesterday when it comes to Brock Purdy is that the Niners don't win because of him. You can't say it after these playoffs that the Niners don't win because of him, that he's just along for the ride. You can't. So I appreciate your I appreciate you coming around fully onto this Brock Purdy thing.
Hey, thank you for watching Brother from Another. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that now. Don't forget, you can catch us 3 to 4 weekdays on PeacockTV.com and on Sirius XM Channel 85.